kind of by presenting my senior thesis that I did with school, because there's a lot of parts in my senior thesis that that weren't very intellectual and more spiritual, and wasn't gonna get a good grade if I said all that. So I wanted to share all this with you today. So my school has it's a specialty school in Richmond Public Schools, which means it's public and you apply to get in, and you have certain requirements to get an advanced diploma. So one of the requirements is that your senior year you do a senior thesis presentation where you pick a research topic and you research it. So my research question came from pretty much growing up in Richmond Public Schools. I learned here that everybody is equal, no matter race, religion, creed, ethnicity, physical disability, or sexual orientation. So then I looked around at my school, and growing up from K through 12, I saw a really distinct racial divide in Richmond Public Schools and Richmond private schools. So I always thought there was like a disconnect between what I was taught here and what I saw in Richmond Public Schools. And when I learned about the civil rights movement, we learned that separate learning facilities are inherently unequal when divided by race. The Supreme Court ruled in 1954 that segregation based on race is inherently unequal. So I started doing my research, and I started researching the segregation history in Richmond Public Schools from 1954 all the way till today. So the first bout of resistance in Richmond was done with redlining. And redlining is basically when they draw strict lines so that the black kids will go to the black schools and the white kids will go to white schools. It's not that you're black and you can't go to this school, it's that you don't live here and you can't go to this school. So that's how Richmond resisted integration for a very long time. And I think it's really important that Richmond is a good example for other cities that have this problem, because Richmond was once the capital of the Confederacy. So we have some history to take care of. So after redlining, the courts ruled that and mandated that busing was implemented. So busing is basically putting black kids on a school bus to take them from the black school neighborhoods and put them in the white schools. And that was how they, Yeah, it did go both ways. So, and that's where that's actually when we first started using school buses, was to integrate schools. So, after 10 years of busing, a lot of people, it was met with resistance, and a lot of white families started putting their children into private schools instead of public schools, or they would leave the city altogether. And then busing was taken away, and we moved to a plan of choice-based desegregation. The difference between choice-based desegregation and court-mandated desegregation is that court-mandated desegregation is the court saying you need to have clear laws and policies in place that create integrated schools. Choice-based desegregation is when as long as everybody has the choice to go to school, go to work, go to the bathroom, go to the water fountain, wherever they want, people will naturally desegregate. Right. That's not what happened. So today, Richmond is 52% black, 42% white, and 6% Hispanic. Well, that's not today. That's from 2010. But we can we can assume that those averages have changed with the statewide population from the census in 2015, which is pretty consistent population levels in the black and white population and rises in the Hispanic population. So while Richmond is 42% white, Richmond Public Schools is 9% white. So either that means that white people in Richmond aren't having children, or they're putting their children in private schools. So that's how I came to my research question. I asked, why do so many parents choose the pricey public option instead of the free public one? And so I noticed in my senior thesis class where we were learning how to do this research, a lot of students were having trouble asking a really specific question and also not being biased when they ask this question, not and compensating for any bias. But my teacher was very surprised with the way I approached the question, because she said that instead of trying to answer the question, I just asked a ton more questions. And and research, another thing I learned in that class is that research is really just approaching strange phenomena with an open mind and an open heart. So I couldn't just say that the reason Richmond Public Schools was mostly black was because all the white parents were racist. That's such a logical fallacy. It's a broad generalization. So there's tons of possible answers to this question. Is it because there's a stigma attached to Richmond Public Schools? Does implied bias play a role? Is it a question of economic disparities? And I think it's probably a combination of all of them, but I'll get into that in a second. So for my study, I asked a number of parents, just why did you choose to send your child to the school you sent your child to? I asked public school students and private school students. But when I asked parents of private school students, when I asked parents of private school students, they all answered in one of three ways, or all three ways, or two of the three ways. The first way most parents of private school students answered was because, this is actually an example, city schools are terrible, drugs, crime, my child is scared to attend. That was one of the ways. It was based in fear of the things that go on in Richmond Public Schools. Another way was they were frustrated with the administration and teaching styles and standards set in Richmond Public Schools. Understandable. And the third way a lot of parents of private school students answered was that they liked smaller class sizes and the way that the school they chose was set up. So when I looked at all of these answers that were just saying the same thing over and over again, I saw a lot of it based in fear and in distrust of a system, and I don't blame them at all. There is a lot wrong with Richmond Public Schools, but what I learned in Unity is that you make the situation that you're in, what you want it to be. And that really helped me growing up in Richmond Public Schools, because I could go to school with, the terrible plumbing and the cockroaches in the locker room and the rats and, the disruptive behavior. And I could go to that school and then spend time with my white friends on the weekend who go to private schools and each have their own laptop. And I was okay with it, because I learned here that my situation was what I made of it. And I'm really appreciative of that. So I love you too. So, only 3 of the answers were really because of smaller class sizes. Most of the parents from private schools were not going to the private schools because they really liked them. Only 3 of those answers were that. Most of the parents were just afraid of the public schools. And that made me sad that they couldn't trust the system that is there for them. So the way I ended my senior thesis presentation was by saying that we have to actually promote diversity and integration in our schools because no one is more deserving of anyone else because of where they live, how much money they have, or the color of their skin. And I learned that here, and which is why I wanted to give this presentation today. I'm really glad that Unity was here with me growing up so that my family and I could approach things with open hearts and open minds. And here I learned to approach things unfamiliar to me with curiosity instead of consternation. And I really appreciate that. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sweetheart. You've done good. I'll get you. Oh, thank you, Maya. And now we have Zachary Gilstrap. Yeah. I remember you this size, and I could look down on you. And now you know that you can look down on me. And I won't argue with you about anything because you're bigger than I am, okay? And you're stronger than I am. But most of all, you're just a wonderful, nice guy who's grown up to be that nice guy. So why don't you share with us what you would like to this morning? Thank you, Zach.
So I would like to start off by thanking all of y'all. Y'all all been here for me, even when I've had my birthdays. You've all been there. Thank you. Unity, for me, is not just a church or religion, it's a family. Every single one of y'all are my family. Unity has been there when I needed them the most. Days that I've just been there and I didn't know what to do. When I was sad, I didn't feel like I could go on. I would come here and y'all would all make it go away, make me feel better. Make me feel I'm not alone in this world. Unity is one of the biggest things part of my life. People in my school try to understand it, but they will never understand how much this church means to me. It's not just somewhere to go and just to be, it's the family, the connections, the people, the love surrounded me. Knowing that I have somewhere to go. I have people who care about me and people who will be there when I need them. I go to a school that's in the lower income of Chesterfield County. I see the kids there and you can tell some of them, they don't have the love and support that I know I have here. They don't have what they need to just keep going. And seeing the difference between here and there, biggest impact on me. Because I know every one of y'all will be there when I need y'all. It's hard for me, I have dyslexia, ADHD, and being in classes with some of these kids, it's hard, but learning to center myself here helped me center myself there and try to help the kids who I know need it there. Unity, I don't know where I would be without it. Because the people here are some of my biggest roots and my best people, my friends, my family. It's hard to even put it into words. Unity is one of the biggest parts of my life, and all I can say is thank you.
Jack. I need you back, buddy. Come on, Maya. Some folks have some gifts for you, and I'm going to ask them to come forward and present those gifts. Yay. Go ahead, honey. You guys, go ahead. Oh, who's got a mic? Because people at home are just going to hear. There you go.
Okay, so I am a regional representative, and at last rally, we had all the people graduate, and Maya couldn't attend, and they always give out this book, Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss, and I just wanted to present it to you from the region. So here you go.
Yay!
And this gift is for Zach. The other Youth of Unity, the other YRUers, made this and prayed over it, and we hope that it will guide you through whatever you do outside of this church, and I know it'll be great things that you do outside of this church.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Zach.
Okay, and this gift is for you, Maya. Like similar to the gift we made for Zach, the YRUers and Uniteens, we all made it and prayed over it, and we hope that every time you wear it or look at it, that you'll remember us with love. And
Thank you, honey. And guys, we got a couple Bibles here, okay? And Zach, this is for you. Your name is on it. And Maya, this is for you. Your name is on it. Most importantly, what I want you to remember is this is always home for you. Right. No matter how old you get, no matter where you travel, no matter where you go, we're home. And just think about it when you're away, while you're in school. Think about the fact that people at home are holding you in prayer, are supporting you. And you know what? You guys are fantastic. Thank you for sharing this morning, all the love that you are. Okay? Thank you. Now, can I borrow that book a second? Okay, you three go sit down. You stay right there, okay? This is really long, so I'm only going to do a little bit of it, but I love Dr. Seuss. Okay? He's the one thing I can read and understand somewhat. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. But here's how it goes. Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. Both of you do. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. And that's been proven. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the guy who will decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any no-good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's open there, in the wide open air. Out there, things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you will go. Thank you, honey. Thank you, guys. Love you, okay? Love both of you. Yay. Thank you. You, we bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ they are. Love you. Thank you, guys. How wonderful. Wow. I'm not going to do this, but somebody said, please give your message that you gave at 9 o'clock. There was the message right there. I'm not going to do that.